In this video, I'm going to run through how to take an analog input from an S7 PLC using the app S7 driver. Um, I'll open up the TIA project. I'll go to where the analog input is scaled. I'll go to the value in the data block, and then what I'll do is I'll take the previous demo one project and I'll add a button along with a label then to allow us to go off and retrieve the value from the PLC, and I'll explain exactly how the little bit of code works. Okay, so we'll get into it now. So the first step for us is to make sure that we have an S7 project set up properly. I'm using a live system, so I'm online to a PLC that has an analog input set up. And the first thing, so I'll just highlight that analog card that I have there, and then inside what I basically have in place here is a scaling block, and the scaling block has been set up to take in an analog signal through a transmitter. And I won't go into the whole concept of scaling analog input values right now because it'll kind of go outside the scope of the video. Mainly, I'm kind of focused on the app S7 driver for right now. But what you'll see is the scaling block here, and there's a value coming out, db1.dbd10, and you can see that there's the value basically going up and down at the moment from the temperature input. Okay, so I'm going to open up the data block which contains the values, and I can see that there's this guy here called AN1val, which is at position 10 in db1, and that's the one that we're after right now. Okay, so what I think is best is that we open up the previous demo one project that was used in previous videos, and if you can't see that there, we'll put it in the link below. This is the form that we had there last time, and I think that what I'll actually just do is slightly neaten that up now. This is all about function; it's not about appearance or anything like that at the moment. Okay, so what I want to do to provide like an example is I'm going to create a button and another label, which means that we're going to actually go off and we're going to retrieve the analog value that you can see here, coming out of this scaling block. Okay, so first things first, what we'll do is we will go off and yeah, I think just for the purposes of this, I'm just going to bring in a button and a label. So I have a button and a label here, and I've just called this button is just called AN1, and then this is the value that's going to take, this is the label which is going to take the analog value that's going into it. So we'll create a click event. Okay, and what I've done is I've written a small function where you essentially you just go off and you do a connection. So you just do a connection as you see up here, and essentially then we're just going to have a small function where we pass the value which you will see here, db1.dbd10, and then essentially we'll get the value back and we'll put it into our text box. Okay, so just to make things very, very easy and quick, what I want you to do is just essentially copy the following small piece of code. And I'm trying to do this quickly just for these videos, just to allow people to get up and running very, very quickly. So you'll see that basically there's these you'll see that there's this function or method here called read analog, and the read analog essentially just gets an address into it, then it gets something called a start position and a size. Okay, so the best way to describe the situation, if I go back to the DB, I'll see that there's a 0 here at the very beginning. There is in every DB, and then we have 16 bytes that are inside it, and it's position 10 that we want. Okay, so what I'm going to put down is I'm going to do a read analog. I'm going to give it the address, and then I'm going to give the start and the size. Okay, so the best thing to do here is just simply put down this. So I put in db1.db10, and then I want to go from 0 to 16. This will make sense in just a moment. So when I do a db read, the library allows us to read the db number and then to look at the start. How much of the db do you want to read? And in this case, I'm actually going to read all of it because I'm going to go from 0 up to 16. Okay, so then what I'm going to do is I'm basically extracting the 10 and the dB number here. And then what I'm doing is I'm looking at this buffer variable, which contains all of the values in the dB. And then I'm going to take position number 10. Okay, and I'm going to pass that position, the value of position number 10 in here. Right, so, and then obviously then I need to clean up just at the very end. I just have to come in and do a disconnect. Okay, so I'm just going to run this now, and hopefully this will work just first time. There shouldn't be a problem, I hope. I'll just bring the value over here, and I'll open up actually the screen so we can look live inside the PLC. Sorry, it's just on a disconnect there. Came back again. So we can see that this guy is 2216, and just for the purposes of this video, I'm just going to open up I'm going to bring this guy across here. It's just the camera. Okay, I have the button, and I have a PT100 wired up here. So I'm going to hold this in my hands now. So we see that value begin to go up just from the temperature of my hand. And I'm going to give this guy a click. And you'll see that it actually just goes up and up and up and up. And obviously if this were inside a tank or whatever else, or whatever other kind of piece of equipment with HVAC, etc., you'd see that the value can go. So just to go back to the code just for a moment, what that does is it allows us to kind of form the basis of the ability to just request and read out. So if you take a look, at the read analog function, you can put something cyclical here like a timer. You can have some kind of like a tag database that you build up, and you can cycle through. You can cycle through the values, you build them up, you can do an entire dB read all in one go, very, very quickly. And then all you need to do is you can have a function where essentially you can look at the buffer that has been built up, the buffer array essentially, and you can then just take a look at lots of different values as they are, and then you can put them in different labels in different text boxes on the screen. Or what I will do in another video is I'm going to actually show how to do the storage in a SQL database. Now I'll just use SQL Server as an example. I wouldn't use that as a data storage method in a long term solution, but certainly I'll just use it as an example. Where someone will have the concept of kind of logging and having the capability to log multiple variables. Okay, so yeah, in that next video, I'll basically try and go from the P&ID, if you're kind of interested in that side of things in the E&I perspective, all the way through to data storage, and then how to take a look at your graphs over time. Okay, thank you.